All right, let's get you guys all caught up with all the action from the Players Championship with New York Post sports columnist Mark Cannizzaro, live from TPC at Sawgrass. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Brandon. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. You've got the great weather down there. You've got some great action going on. So let's get straight into this because heading into play on Friday, Scottie Scheffler sits tied for seventh at 5 under. I mean, we're talking about one of the dominant players in this sport, Mark. How's this guy been able to obtain that level of success?
Brandon, and I've written about this. The one thing that I'm taken aback by most with Scotty, obviously he's an amazing golfer, but it's just how unaffected he is. He's held the number one top spot in the world rankings for 95 weeks now. He's approaching, I believe, second most consecutive weeks of all time after only Tiger Woods, which is pretty lofty company. And he plays each week like he's the 150th player in the world. I mean, he just is unaffected by whatever pressures come with being number one. I've talked to players both this year and over the years in fact, for the piece I did for the Post the other day, about today about Scotty, was just talking about to some of the guys who have been at number one before, like Rory, like Adam Scott, a couple of these guys, Justin Thomas, and what that pressure was like and how they handled it. Certainly, it's like for some guys, it's like a hot potato. They want no part of it. It changes their game. Jason Day has spoken about that as well. And Scotty, you wouldn't even know. I mean, I think Rory said it best when I asked him the other day. He said Scotty does not care about fame. He doesn't care about being famous. He just keeps his head down and just tries to become a better golfer every day, which sounds boring, but that's what he does.
Well, Rory himself is currently sitting at third, and he wants that smoke. He wants to be one of the best players on this tour. So like I said, currently sits at third. You think this is where he gets that big win? And if not Rory, who are some of the other guys that you think that we should keep an eye on heading into the weekend?
Well, Brandon, Rory is ranked second in the world. The distance between he and Scotty is pretty large because Scotty has been so dominant, having won 7 times last year. But that said, Rory did win at Pebble Beach a few weeks ago, last month, or I should say, like late January. And I mean, if he happens to win this week, he's closing the gap because then he'd have 2 wins this year already, and Scotty would have none. So, and listen, Rory, the thing you have to be most impressed with about Rory to me is he is very much like Scotty is almost always in contention. It's like that's very hard to do. It's hard to describe to golf fans how difficult that is to do because this is such a streaky game. Guys get hot, they have their runs, then they may miss a few cuts in a row or something like that. Rory doesn't do that. I mean, he does not have horridly bad weeks. So, his bad weeks are, a top 20 or whatever, or top 15 rather than winning. So, he's every bit worthy of being number one. It's just that Scotty has been so dominant. Um, there's a handful of guys, one guy that's up on the leaderboard right now is Minwoo Lee, an Aussie who has been in really, really good form. He's only a shot off the lead right now. So I could see him, you know, factoring into the weekend. There's a couple of fun names, interesting names up there. Ricky Fowler, who's been not necessarily in great form in recent years, although he's picked it up a little bit. He's at 5 under right now. I've actually think I may be writing a little column on him for tomorrow in the New York Post. And we got Cam Young, who has been in terrible form. He's 3 under for the day and got himself at 5 under for the tournament. So it'll be very interesting to see himself get into contention. He's a guy that's played so well the last 3 years, but yet has not won. So, and that's weighing very heavily on him. So yeah, this is as usual in this tournament. The cream usually rises at the top. You don't usually get the outlier winner. So I expect this to be a pretty fun weekend with a pretty compelling leaderboard right through the end.
Yeah, and that's what I love about these type of tournaments because guys that we don't normally talk about or you may normally don't write about that much, we get a chance to see them kind of come to the limelight and get to talk about them for a bit. But on the flip side of it, there are some big names that are projected to actually miss the cut. So how do you see things playing out on Friday?
Well, the thing about this course, Brandon, is if you are off your game, this is an extremely penalizing place. So even some of the best players in the world can throw up some big numbers. I mean, Justin Thomas shot 78 yesterday. Max Homa shot, I want to say 79 yesterday. So there's a, and these are guys that are not going to make the cut. Victor Hovland is another guy who shot 80. Um, this is a place, the margins are so thin and narrow here that if you're a little bit off your game, you can throw up some huge numbers. Max Greiserman, who's a local for us here in New Jersey, he was in contention yesterday when he got to the par three seventh hole and put two balls in the water and walks away with a quadruple bogey and is now likely not going to make the cut because of that one hole, and so there's a lot of danger lurking here, which is what makes this tournament so fun to watch, and quite frankly, as somebody who's played it myself a few times over the years, so fun to play because it's a very stimulating place that can be, exhilarating if you play well, and it can devastate you if you play poorly, and you got that handful of, as you said, big names who are going to miss the cut this week.
Mark, before I let you go, we're hearing all these stories about this tree on the sixth hole. Talk to us about it. What are the players saying about it? And you think it's something that is affecting their play?
It is to some degree. I don't think it's going to affect the outcome of the tournament or anything like that. But there was always a live oak kind of overhanging off the sixth tee, which forced the player to kind of hit under it. And it died. They found another tree of similar look on the grounds, and they uprooted it and replanted it right in that same spot. So it's been a little bit of a topic of conversation this week. I think it hangs a little bit lower, and the tee box is a little bit further back, as all these golf courses are doing to try to protect the lack of length, if you will. And so it is forcing the players to hit a lower line drive off the tee. So some guys that maybe like the 3-wood off the tee, which is a more of a lofted club, they're kind of forced to hit driver. So I don't have the numbers in front of me about how it's affected, but it definitely is a visual um, mind game, if you will, for the players, and they have to create a little bit. Maybe the guys who are higher ball hitters have to kind of create that lower trajectory shot just so they don't clip that tree off the tee.
Mark, you should tweet out a selfie picture of you and the tree. Two legends in one picture.
Maybe I'll head over there. That's a good idea.
Hey, thanks for jumping on today, Mark.
Thanks, Brandon.